will still be out, Ben Chilwell will be out, and Callum will still be out. Tony was in training yesterday, Tony Rudiger. The same for Reece James. So we have another training coming, and hopefully they can do the full training and give us a green light. So we have hopes that they can be in the squad and play tomorrow. And the same for Andreas. We need another examination because he felt sick and will come back to training ground today. And Ross Barkley is sick as well and will not be in the squad.
Thank you for that. Obviously, over the last couple of months or so, there's been a lot of talk about Manchester United. What is your assessment of the current team?
Well, over the last months was also a lot of talk about Chelsea, as you know. So we were not so heavily involved in the talks about Manchester United. I'm personally very happy to play against Man United at Old Trafford. For me personally, is one of the biggest stages, one of the biggest stadiums, one of the biggest clubs and occasions to play. I arrive with a strong club, with a strong team, so this is the best way to arrive as a coach, and I'm very, very happy to have this match, and it will always be a big match for me, no matter in what position and in which current form they are in. And this is how I see it, and that's why we prepare in the best possible way. We don't reflect so much on their situation and what's going on in and around the club, and they're like we focus on their last matches. We should not get confused by the lack of points, lack of results. For me, this squad is full of quality, and we need to take care about it on the pitch.
And you've got a very close relationship with Rangnick. Talk us through that, how you know him and you've got your coach.
Well, the story is told. No, he was my coach when I was a third division player, and he told us some stuff in these days that we never heard about, that we don't need to follow as a defender, we don't need to follow our striker when he goes to the toilet. That was like common sense until this time, that you just follow him around 90 minutes. And he told us that we can defend in a back four and we can defend in spaces, and that was, he opened our eyes and brought big success to that little club where we played, and he went straight through and into first division. And on this run I got injured, and later when he managed Stuttgart, he opened the door for me to the academy and introduced me to the academy and gave me the chance to make an internship with the under 17. So and from there I tried to be the best possible, and of course he had his fantastic record in Germany to build up big clubs, or like to bring clubs to the very highest level, and to build clubs from scratch. And this is pretty much the story, if I want to tell it in as short as possible. It's nice to see him always. It's always tough to play against teams like him, and we will maybe have the time for a quick chat, 5 minutes, but contact is not like on a daily or weekly basis.
You spoke about Antonio Rudiger the other day.
Yeah.
What have the other players made of the fact that he's leaving?
I don't think that anybody likes it, because Tony is a huge factor in our last 1.5 seasons together. He gives everybody confidence in the dressing room. He is a unique character. He's an aggressive leader. He is available over 100% of the matches, like 90% of the matches. He's simply available, and he plays on an outstanding level, and he gives you confidence if you play next to him, if you play around him. He takes sometimes the focus away towards him, so away from others. He takes responsibility, loves responsibility, so I don't think that anybody likes this decision. But at the moment, or not only in the moment, we have to accept it, and we will accept it. Like it or not, there will be life at Chelsea after Tony. And now is also for him and for us is the most important thing, that it ends like it started and like it was for the 1.5 years, on the highest level possible. And this is where the focus needs to be right now.
Thank you.
Olivia PLP.
Hi, Thomas.
Hi.
Man United against Chelsea was once a title decider,
Hmm.
and
given the size of the club. So it's a bit of a shame that now it's not so much.
Well, we would love to be, and I think Manchester United would love to be in a title decider, but unfortunately there are two other teams in red and blue who have a word to say, and over the last years made their point strongly. So we have to accept it, and we have to do everything and try to close the gap, and Man United as well. They played a huge role in last year's campaign with being second. No. So for me, it's like Man U is one of the biggest clubs, a very famous club, very successful club, and like one of the biggest stages where you can play. That's why I can only repeat. I'm very grateful, very very excited to play there and to arrive with a strong team, because we arrived to win, we arrived to play for the victory. And this is a great feeling. I think I am not concerned about Man United, because first of all it's not my job, and second of all they will always recover, because the club is a huge club, and the squad is full of individual talent. So, but I am not involved. We have enough to do here.
I know obviously you weren't the manager for the whole of this time, but Chelsea haven't beaten them at Old Trafford in the Premier League since 2017. Since 2013.
Yeah, so
and haven't
time.
beaten them in the Premier League since, just in general, even at Stamford Bridge since 2017.
Yeah.
That's a long time. I know you don't want to get into the way the struggles that Manchester United have at the minute, but now feels like a good time to change that.
Always a good time for a win. Always a good time for a win. No matter if you won the last match or the last two against the same opponent, is always the best time for a win. Is always the next match, and It just shows that it's not easy, and these kind of streaks exist in football, that against some opponents it's a bit harder to get obviously victories. Obviously Man United is that kind of opponent for us, but like I said, we will, like, with all the respect that we have for the history and for the occasion and for the quality in general at Man U, we try to win, and we will arrive to win, and we will prepare to win this match, and then we will see what questions are asked, and what the game demands, and how the momentum in the game shifts or not. But this is pretty much it. It's not so much like now or never, because now they are struggling with results recently. We honestly prepare all the time to have the feeling now or never. In every single match, so we try to prepare in the best way possible, and try to win the match tomorrow, because Chelsea and Man U is, for me as a football fan, and for me as a big fan from Premier League, it's a big match. I would always watch it, so being part of it is very nice.
And just finally, I asked you a couple of weeks back about Reece James and playing him as the right centre back, because it's a less physical position.
Yeah.
And obviously he's recovering from that injury. Obviously he's back training now. Is that a permanent thing, do you think, or do you think next season going forward we're going to see him more in that sort of right wing back that we've seen?
Would love to have two Reece Jameses, so we would have the problem solved, but it's like maybe a 55% towards wing back and a 45% towards the back three. It depends a little bit, like also like how the opponent plays against us. Do we expect a lot of possession? How is their structure for their offensive transition? For this can sometimes be very helpful for us if Reece plays in the back three to be the first guy to cover in the transition and be not involved in the attack. So we have his speed and physicality in the protection of the opponent's counterattacks. These are like the thoughts about it, but like I said, I'm a bit more I'm leaning a bit more into that his very best position is the wingback position, where he's maybe even like more decisive, more useful, but it's more demanding. And the next step is to be a regular player over 50, 55, 60 matches, and from there we have to decide, but both positions are filled with top quality with him.
Okay, last two, Nick and then Martin to finish.
Thomas, in the time that you've been coaching Tony, I know obviously you've praised him for his sort of leadership and his qualities, but you and your coaches have given him the framework for that to be the case, because obviously we know he sort of struggled under the previous coaching. And so with that in mind, and obviously you've given all the players here the tools to sort of excel, haven't you? With that in mind, would you be confident that whatever squad you have, next season, because obviously there's still questions to be answered, that you can, put a team on the field that can make Chelsea competitive?
Yeah. And it's my job. In the end, it's my job. And no matter how the situation will be solved and when it will be solved and how things will be settled in the end, and how active we can be on the transfer market, can we react in which frame we can react. At the end, we will dig in and we will try to squeeze out everything of the squad that we have. And I hopefully, and like I know myself, I will again fall in love with the squad that I have then, and try to push the squad to the limit. Like I said, it was a pleasure every single day with Tony, and I'm a bit concerned that we talked too much in the past about it, because there are still things we have not reached all our goals that we have for this season. So there are still things to achieve, big things, and he is still a big part of this club, and we demand still 100% of him, and this is where the focus is. And then from pre-season next season, we will, like I said, life will go on, if we like it or not, if we are happy about it or not. And then from pre-season next season, we will give our very best, and I will be fully involved with all my heart and all my knowledge. Sure.
Last question, Martin.
Thomas, just a question about Ruben. Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, you kind of sat up there and set him some standards and some goals. Since then, he scored a goal at Wembley. Yeah. He's played for you in different positions, some positions which we've not really seen him in before. Can you give us a bulletin on how you see him now, a couple of weeks on?
More or less the same situation for him. I think he is influential. He is involved in goals lately, which is very, very good. He needs to push himself to the limit. That is the challenge, because he is so physically, and he can be so physically. So he had a bit of a shy game, like everybody else, against Arsenal. And not such a good first half against a very calm first half against Crystal Palace. And then suddenly in the second half, he stepped up. He stepped up in dribblings. He stepped up physically in ball recoveries. And suddenly the crowd was there. And suddenly the momentum was there. And this is what we demand from him. And he's in general a shy and very, very calm person. But he needs to discover this monster in him, and he needs to unleash this on a regular basis, because it's absolutely necessary. It's not enough to be just on the pitch. It might be, if you just regard his last years, it might seem as a first step and already good that he is a regular player for us. But I'm not happy, because with this is not enough, and we cannot let him think that this is enough. He needs to constantly push himself to the absolute limit. We try every day, and I think we are quite successful giving his development. But this is where he is. He needs to understand how much potential he has, and he needs to understand that he needs to unleash this kind of physical capacity on a daily basis in training. He cannot let loose. It's not good for him. He needs to be under pressure, and he needs to play every match like a cup final.